Hi, good to see you again. You know, leadership is hard, but sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be. Once again, let's talk about a small change you can make right away, and it makes a huge difference as you do it. So I'm D. Hicks. Thanks for joining me. This is part of the HILT Academy, High Impact Leadership Training. So here's my question. Have you ever really screwed up at work? Or maybe not you. Maybe you have a friend who's really messed up in some way. Missed a deadline, made a bad decision, just underperformed, or in small or big ways, or a bunch of ways that all kind of gathered up into big ways. And then you try to get in and fix it. Or as a leader or a manager or a supervisor or an influencer of people, you work with folks who don't quite perform to the level that they should perform to. So you kind of want to step in and deal with that. In fact, it's part of your job to address missed expectations and to address poor performance. It's also part of your job to address systemic problems that just come up over and over and over. And it's not one person, it's several people that are experiencing these performance issues. So I want to share with you an idea that we've developed over the years and used extensively that helps us know what to do when we realize, wow, you screwed up. We have another video in which we talk about the WWW approach, which is what problem are you trying to solve, what have you tried already, and what would you do if it was totally up to you. In this one, let's dive in a little deeper into what problem are you trying to solve, that first W. And the model I want to share with you, we call the SLY approach to solving problems. The SLY approach to solving problems has 3 parts to it. We're going to walk through each of those 3 parts and show you how to use it in a way that it'll make a massive difference. So whenever a problem occurs in complex or simple human endeavors, when we're working at building a barn out on the property with our friends and family, or we're trying to paint the garage floor again, or we are setting up a new project, or we're hiring somebody and it just didn't work out, we need to hire somebody else at work, or whatever the situation is where a problem occurs, we want to immediately, when we realize that there is a problem, and that we've identified generally what the problem is, to go into the first part of the SLY approach to solving problems. The first part, of course, is S, and S stands for structure. Now, structure is how we have organized our world to get our work done. Structure is schedule, it's software, it's staff, it's stuff, like the stuff of work. Well, this might not be the stuff of your work, but it is of mine. It's our tools, it's our habits, it's our policies, it's our procedures. It's, again, like the hardware. It's like this is a table, you'd call this hardware, and it's software, like I mentioned. It's the stuff we use to arrange our world to get our work done. And structure is something that is really powerful in any human endeavor. It's powerful because we're good at building structure. People, we put our minds together, we like to structure things. We like to have lines where we park our cars. We like to have paint that doesn't wear out every 6 weeks. We like to have windows that open easily in our rooms. We like to make buildings that are easy to walk through and doors that are predictable when they open. We like traffic patterns, and we like schedules, and we like clocks and calendars, and we like to bend the structure, but we want structure. Structure is what enables us to do what we want to do over and over and over again without thinking about it a lot. Structure in an enterprise like yours is exactly like habits are in the human brain. Our brain craves that kind of neurological and neurochemical structure. The keys always go there. You always turn that knob that way. I always start with that shoe when I tie it and then go to that one. Our brain craves that. We always cut our meat on our dinner plate like this. We work well when there's structure, both neurologically, neurochemically in our brain as human beings, and then socially in a group of people. We like structure. It helps us not have to pay attention to the minutiae of life, so we're very, very good at creating structure. And then we create structure, of course, whenever there's a problem. Our solution to almost every problem is to put structure in place, especially if we think we may be facing that problem again. Back to the keys illustration. Have you ever lost your keys? And you're probably thinking right now, where are my keys? Well, you know where they are because you have a habit that you have formed that helps you figure out where to put your keys and where to find them next time. And you have structures in the workplace that helps you get paid on time and helps you not have to guess, am I going to get this amount of money or that amount of money? Is it going to be in my bank account on Thursday or on Friday? Is it going to be in my bank account at all? There's structures in place that we've put in place to solve problems, and those structures work very, very well. We're very good at organizing our world around structure. Okay, you get that part, all right? Here's the dirty little secret about structure. Once we put it in place and it works, it becomes invisible to us. We don't think about it. We don't look at it. We just look through it or we live in it, and we really don't think about it very much. We just adapt our way of driving and parking and working and typing and talking and answering and thinking to the structure that we created because it works. 80% of the problems or challenges that you face in the workplace come from structure. That is, the structure was put in place back in the day to solve a problem, and it did. Then the problem went away, and the structure remains. 80% of the time, anytime you or I experience a problem in the workplace of any sort, it is there because we put structure in place to solve another problem, and it's creating this problem. Structure. Whose responsibility is something? What hours do they work? How do we know if someone's done a good job or a bad job? These are all structure. We set up structure to answer these questions. I'll say, okay, so you're tracking with me now. If a problem occurs, 80% of the time, it comes from structure. Here's the thesis. If you change the structure, the problem goes away. Just like that. Change the structure. Change the order in which things are done. Change the schedule. Change the calendar. Change the tool you use. Change the software. Change the habits, in effect, of the organization. And the problem goes away. Now stay with me here, because this sounds a little bit dull and dry to this point. But what if it doesn't go away? Okay. What if you've got perfect structure? It is absolutely wonderful. People want you to write books about it. You get invited to go to the basic trade shows and conferences to talk about how wonderful your structure is. Great. Good for you. Good for you. But what if the problem remains, even with wonderful structure? Well, then we go to the L in SLY, which stands for leadership. So it's not a structural problem. We tried that. Problem is still there. Structure is not creating the problem. Let's go to leadership. That's probably you. You're probably a leader or a manager or a supervisor or an influencer of people, or you're sitting next to one and you want them to watch this video and you're kind of elbowing them. 15% of the time, the problem, if it's not structure, 15% of the time, it's leadership. Because you, as a leader, have failed at clarifying expectations and creating alignment. That means that everyone knows exactly what is expected of them on a very simple and basic level, on a measurable level. They know what's expected and why, and their efforts are aligned with one another. So you don't expect person A to be doing this and person B to be doing the opposite of it. You don't expect person A to run off and fix something. You didn't really trust them, so you sent person B to run off and fix the same thing, and they're going to approach it in different ways, and they're not in alignment. They're going to collide with one another. Let me tell you, the most valuable, most precious resource you and I have got are our people's engagement. That is such an important thing. People show up with passion. They care. That's why they're there. And If you and I as leaders don't create clarity and create alignment, we squander their passion. They'll hold back 5 or 10%, 15%. They'll hold back and they'll do just what's required of them. And it'll take a while for you to notice. It's very destructive. So, as a leader, the L in SLY, your job and my job is to create clarity of expectations and alignment of efforts. It's pretty straightforward. If you and I have done that well, and the problem is still there, we go on to the Y in SLY. 5% of the time, the problems that you and I experience in the workplace are because of you, the individual. 5% of the time. Let's imagine that the structure is amazing. Let's imagine that you as a leader are very good at communicating clearly what your expectations are so that people have clarity of expectations and their effort is aligned. And the problem is still there. Okay, it's you. It's you, the individual. Now it is you. You got that? It's only 5% of the time. And probably in your organization, it might even be less. It might even be 2 or 3% of the time. But here is the most powerful thing we've learned over the years. 100% of the time, the only way I know there's a problem with structure is you, the individual, screw up. The only way I know I'm not effective as a leader is when you over there, the individual, screws up. When an individual messes up, it looks like it's all them. But most of the time, 95% of the time or more, the reason they're screwing up is because the structure told them to. Or because I as a leader was unclear and not effective as a leader. Almost all the time, when somebody doesn't perform to the level that you want them to perform, it's because of structure or of you as a leader. By the way, this model is so portable. You can take this idea out of the workplace and you can apply it to your rock climbing team, to your running team. You can apply it to your church. You can apply it carefully, but you can apply it to your family as well. Look to structure first. If you see the structure and can change the structure, give it a moment, give it a day, give it a week, the problem will probably go away if it comes from there. 8 out of 10 times, that's going to be the case. The beauty of this is it helps us not get frustrated inappropriately with the individual because they are showing up to work with good intention. They're bringing their passion. They're giving it everything they've got. But because of the structure they're in, it looks like they're screwing up. But because I'm not effective as a leader in communicating and clarifying my expectations and following up with that, looks like they are screwing up. Of course, you know that it is 5% of the time, or 4% of the time, or 3% of the time. So once in a while, it is the person. Once in a while it is. And that's for another video. How do you address that when it's them? But it's usually not the case. I hope this has really been helpful for you. And if it has been helpful for you, practice it, drive it around, test it out, think through, talk with a couple of other people about a problem that you might be facing in the workplace or somewhere else, and look at structure, how we organized our world to make this work, because the structure is probably creating the problem. You know what? You're doing great work. Thanks for taking a little bit of time. If you like this video, hit that like button and then roll right over, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll also let you know when our new content comes out because it comes out regularly. You're doing great work. Here's to you. Keep it up.